Welcome to Let's Talk Games special downloading soon episode for Horizon Forbidden West. My name is Dan. I am your host this evening. Next to me is the man in the middle, Uncle Chunt.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, boy. and next to him is Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm all right. Just busy looking at that man in the middle over there.
Fucking hell.
It's hard to keep your eyes off him, isn't it? That's all I look at.
He's just so central,
so
in the middle.
Yeah. Jeez, guys, you make me blush. Thanks.
So this week, in our downloading soon episode, we are talking about Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Just to get a start with, let's talk about our experience with the first game, or if we have, Uncle Chun, what's your experience?
Just get me out of the way straight up because I have none. I have bought it and it's been installed on my PS4 for the longest time, since like April, and I just haven't gotten to it. But I'm going to play it on PC because it's there, and I'll say goodbye to my PS4. Toodaloos. But it looks stunning. Like, even just doing the imagery for this, like the thumbnail, I was looking for a proper image, and I'm like, God damn, this next game looks stunning as hell. So I do want to play it. It's not like you're the Xbox guy, I just want to play PS4 exclusives. Like, nah, that's not it. I am looking forward to play it. So depending on what we talk about tonight, keen to see what everybody thinks what the next one's going to be. So yeah, that's me.
We're going to be very well informed. And Jamie, your experience.
Can somebody remind me that we don't have one set up for this for this type of show? I clicked through to Chunt's one and it just all changed. I was like, no, that's not right. So apologies if you're watching visually. Visuals. Horizon is absolutely phenomenal. The first game was, I'm standing by it. I said it on another show that we did a few weeks ago. I think it's my game of the generation. Not had, I don't know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey's up there with it. But yeah, Horizon for what it is and when it came out and what it was. And it was my first experience of playing a video game in 4K. And just like, this is face melting. And the performance of Ashley Birch, she's outstanding. Like, I like her anyway. Like, she's a very good voice actress. But I think Aloy that's her role. I think that's what's really like cemented her as like top tier voice actress. The setting, the world, the whole premise of the story is just, you just lose yourself in it. It did make me buy a PlayStation. It was the game that made me go back and get a PS4 Pro and was like, look, no, I need to play this. It looks like it's right up my street. I wasn't disappointed. I'd equivocate it to the like of Breath of the Wild. So Breath of the Wild was a reason to own the Switch, and I think that Horizon was very much a reason to own a PlayStation. That is my experience
2 weeks apart.
The first one. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so obviously I've played it, loved it. I probably don't love it as much as other people, but still love it. I didn't play the DLC. I don't think you would have got the chance to play. You would have got rid of the PS4 by the time the DLC came out that year, Jamie.
Yeah, but I played. I played through, so I didn't finish Horizon. So when I left Australia, I hadn't finished it. I jumped on late with Horizon because of the whole Zelda thing, and then I got a Pro and it was like, right, now this is the game to get it for. I got like 2 missions before the end, and then I left Australia, so I packed up and sold all my stuff there, and I never really got back to it until I got a PlayStation here. And I had a copy of the complete edition that I'd got from some like raffle thing, so it was installed on my account, so I downloaded it and tried to just carry on from where I'd left off, and it wouldn't let me. So the complete edition would not utilize a save from the base edition. So I then downloaded the base edition, finished the game, but I never got around to the DLC because of that. I wanted to take my save file, and it wouldn't let me, and that really irked me, actually. Like, that was really annoying. But no, I finished it a couple of months ago. I had like 1.5 missions left. I was halfway through the second to last mission, and then I played the last mission. It was like credits rolled. I was like, oh, well, I was closer to the end of that than I thought I was. But no, it's just so easy to lose yourself in that world. But yeah, carry on, Dan. Sorry, just to set that record straight.
That's all right. So the way we operate these downloading soon episodes is we talk about what we know, what we want, and then what we think will happen. So I'll get started with what we know. And surprisingly, I found a lot of stuff that we already knew. So you got to bear with me a little bit on this. So there's been a lot of changes at Guerrilla. We know that Herman Hulst went from managing director at Guerrilla to become president of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios and left 3 others in charge. We heard from VGC that apparently that Horizon has been greenlit for a trilogy. So another one after this upcoming game. Initially, the game was planned for the PlayStation. This sequel was planned for the PlayStation 4. However, it's the developers now entirely shift to the PlayStation 5, which we know it's expected to come out in 2021. We can talk a little bit later about what we think if that will make that release date. Apparently, the game is meant to be gigantic in scope with a larger game world, more freedom than its predecessor. People with knowledge of the game indicated that the inclusion of a co-op feature, although it's not clear if this is delivered via the main story or a separate mode. They apparently at one point Guerrilla was planning to release a standalone co-op game preview with progress carrying over to the later full version of Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Next, we have some information from the PlayStation blog where they just talk about Aloy's story will move west to a far future America, brave and majestic, dangerous frontier where she'll face awe-inspiring machines and mysterious new threats.
The Forbidden West, you could say.
Yeah, the Forbidden West, you could say.
Bloody hell, Chunt, you just had to do it. I just, couldn't resist,
In the September issue, we found out from PlayStation official magazine in the UK, the game will take place between Utah and the Pacific Ocean. That would be somewhere in the West, I would imagine. And both San Francisco and Yosemite Valley are going to be playable locations. The Golden Gate Bridge will indeed make an appearance, even though it's mostly been submerged.
Awesome.
We can see from the trailers that there's going to be underwater gameplay, which we didn't get in the first game. You could swim in the first game, but the idea of actually going under, where there's those snap maws, which look like just giant crocodiles or alligators, is terrifying. Terrifying to me, anyway. We also saw Silence, who was would you call him a friend, Jamie?
Yeah,
in the first game,
he's an ally character, isn't he?
Yeah, he
you
kind
and,
of has his
you
own.
and him are after the same thing, basically.
Yeah, he has his own mission, and you work together. But in the trailer, it seems like he has gained this ability to take over some machines as well, somehow, like you can in the first game.
And Chunt, for your reference, he's played by Lance Reddick, Zavala out of Destiny.
Oh, right.
And he sounds exactly like he's doing the same voice as he does for Zavala in Destiny. He's doing.
And that's
why would you change your voice if you had his voice?
He wouldn't. That's what I mean. Like, he's just him. But no, he was cool.
Hell yeah.
So the last couple of things I have here, also from that trailer, we see that there's something with the machines that are starting to kill plant life and wildlife, which wasn't really touched upon in the first game. You see a fox starting to curl over and a lot of the plants dying. So something happening there. We also got a quote from Janina Javanka, who most people would know as Iden Verso from Battlefront 2. She played the main lead in that game. She was actually a side character in the DLC, which I didn't realize until recently. And she just mentioned to a fan at like a convention saying, like, it's incredible. You just wait until you see the sequel. You're going to die. I know secrets. You're going to die. And the only other thing I found out about the Forbidden West is that there's actually some collectibles throughout the first game. And in one of the places it talks about people that have journeyed to the Forbidden West. And the ones that return are either near death or driven mad by what they have discovered. Tales of these journeys differ, with some reporting to have crossed deserts of white, orange, and blue sands, while others recounted vast prairies full of tall, sharp grass. And that's my wrap up of everything we know. So from that, because I've done enough talking, so I need a break. I want to start with you actually, Chunt, because you clearly have some interest for the series. So what would it take you to get to go through the first game and get this game launch day when it's coming out?
Oh my god! So I would need to play it through on PC first because I'm not buying another PlayStation because I barely used the one I had. So I would have to play through the first one and see if I enjoyed it. And I would need some free space to play it instead of creating a backlog that's just perpetual that I've done this generation. So yeah, I'm going to make an concerted effort this gen of like, just don't buy a new game if you still have 20, you know. So I need some spare space to play through this, and I think it's going to be a good alternative because like you said, it came out within, you know, a fart's breath of Zelda on the Switch, and it was like that same kind of game. Everybody was comparing it, the same vibe or gameplay style or whatever. So
when weirdly they're non-comparable.
Yeah,
they're
I
nothing
don't understand
alike.
that. No, like I can see like they have a bow and arrow and it's a massive open world. That's about as far as it goes, and the grass is pretty cool. So yeah, I think I just need to look at it as like, all right, I've gotten through a big chunk of my catalog, which I have been smashing it lately, and let's just delve into this. Like, do I feel like another Breath of the Wild experience or an open world, you know, Ubisoft type of constant check marks and checkpoints on your map? And that's always been daunting to me, particularly this, well, towards late of last gen and this gen in particular, where just every game almost feels like it's just too big. And I think that's another reason why I just haven't played this one since I've had it since April, you know, because I've just been like, oh, how much longer can I put this off? You know, just keep playing some shorter games because just daunting. Just the aspect of looking at a map and all these points that you just got to go to and get through. But it's interesting. I've had a lot of retrospective moments with myself since lockdown and isolation and stuff where you're like, you know what? I've been getting through a lot of these games and thinking of it differently of when you start, like if you actually do start, it's like a lot of things in life. If you start and just keep going, you'll eventually finish it. And I think I just need to start it, you know, and stop putting it off and just dive in. And, you know, I've had to do that a lot with a lot of these games recently, and I had some really great experiences. So I'm interested to get into this. Just visually, yeah, like there's no question that it's a visual showcase, and like not only just because of the graphical power of what it's been built on, but the art style itself is very appealing, and just the creature design is incredibly appealing. And just to see what whoever's vision this is of the future and how that pans out, and you know, the whole Forbidden West aspect of it, like it's another part of America. Like that was a bit of a secret, I think. I remember of like you don't know what planet they're on or, you know, what part of the world they're on. I think that I remember that being a spoiler. I don't exactly know like what the ending or what the reveal of that, like obviously because of the Golden Gate Bridge, it's on Earth, but I don't know what happened. Like why does no one remember the old world, you know, and why are these technological creatures roaming the Earth and that no one can remember how they got there, you know? So I imagine I might experience that in the first game. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why you need to play the first game.
yeah. So
definitely.
Is that answered in the first game?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So everything you've said, right, and taking this as now let's just lower the tone a second and listen carefully to the words that are coming out of my mouth. How many video games have I literally insisted and implored that you play that you have not enjoyed?
Yeah.
Because the answer to that, mate, is fucking zero, right? Horizon Zero Dawn is not a Ubisoft game. It's not full of point-to-point, map-to-map bullshit. It's very... if you want it to be, it's linear. There's no grinding nonsense. You move very firmly through each area of the game. You can have a solid solo experience with that. Dan, would you say 30 hours max for the campaign? Absolute max as well?
Yeah, if you were mainlining it, but there's no way you will mainline this game. Like,
because everything's too interesting to what's going on around you. It's not like that at all.
Like,
trust
I didn't
me.
like the Witcher 3. I do trust you, Jamie. Like, you know, I do. 100%.
All right, enough harping on poor Chunt. Jamie, tell me what you want in this game.
I just want more of it. Like everything I've seen so far, like just indicates that it's going to be bigger and better than the first. The art style from that CG trailer that we saw seems to have changed ever so slightly. I'm not sure if that's going to make it to the game or if it's just a case of that's the visual representation for the trailer. It wasn't in engine, was it? Or did they say it was an engine, that game trailer?
I doubt it. It looks too good.
Yeah, it
no, I can't remember.
I couldn't remember. I remember seeing when I was getting this screen, the thing that everybody was saying the first thing you should watch on an OLED display is for next gen is that trailer for Horizon Forbidden West. It's like crank up, make sure you get the 4K 10-bit version and just watch it and look at in sheer awe at the detail, and it is mind bending. Like, it's the prettiest trailer that I think I've ever seen. The colors are, I'm hype beast in this. I've got nothing else to add other than just give me more of it, because I love the first game. I'm sure I'll love this one. It's going to be a reason for me to own a PlayStation. And yeah, more Aloy, man. She's a kick-ass character, and the storytelling is the bit that goes understated, I think, with Horizon. And if they're going to elaborate more on that, as you said, Dan, about the world and how the Earth is actually being affected by the machines and what they're doing, because the first game is very much about stopping doomsday, essentially. Like, we have to prevent a cataclysmic event. So we get through that bit, and it's like, right, now how is the planet recovering and recuperating? And if there's issues happening, maybe I think we're going to go beneath the core a little bit. I think the diving and the underwater thing maybe alludes to that a bit. Maybe we're going to go underground quite a lot to see where this power, etc., is coming from. And yeah, just give me more of it. The story and the characters, the side characters, everybody involved. The first one's a masterpiece, so give me another masterpiece and I'll be a happy boy.
Well, a lot of the first game is also trying to figure out Aloy's past as well,
Yeah,
and
her
we know that. So it kind of gives the sequel free reign to go crazy with the story.
Yeah, it's not Jackie Chan's Who Am I, is it?
No.
Who am I? Fuck. Oh, man. That's good.
So there's a few things that I wanted to touch on and what I wanted out of this game. Because, as I said, I probably don't love it as much as Jamie, but it's still an elite game in, especially in Sony's first party.
Before you move to what you want, do you consider Ghost of Tsushima better than Horizon or not?
Not.
Ooh. So to say that you're not as hot on it as I am, but you really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima, but you think Horizon's better, those are conflicting statements. I think you maybe did really enjoy Horizon.
You think it's Masterpiece? I think it's an amazing game. Do we really want to weigh up what the differences are here? Let's just enjoy the positives, All right, so a couple of my wants. So there was a no-clip documentary about Horizon after it came out, and that, and this kind of supports what I read before about the two-player thing, is that when they were conceiving of the game, there is gameplay showing that they wanted two-player as the story, and eventually they took away that character and they just stuck with Aloy, and they created Aloy, and the rest is history. I think they really do want to push this two-player thing. I think the first-party studios only really like to talk to each other. I know Cory Barlog at Sony Santa Monica spoke with Naughty Dog when they were trying to figure out Atreus in God of War to figure out how to work the AI. And I think Guerrilla knew what Last of Us Part 2 was doing with two different protagonists, and they want to do their own spin on it. And I want them to have this way to play as two different characters in an open world somehow, and have them upgrade different stuff. That would be really, really cool. It would also be awesome, storytelling wise. One of the other things I want, at some point in this game, it doesn't have to be early, I want to be able to fly. I want to be able to take over one of the flying pterodactyl-like robots. Even if it's like right at the end and you're coming into like a battle and you get this last upgrade where you can fly and just you come into battle on this giant bird, and then after the game finishes you can basically fly over the map. That would be such a huge moment, like epic lifting moment. The other thing is so the first game really focused on Aloy as a character, and even though you have your dialogue options, so most RPGs you have, you know, your Paragon and your Renegade, you know, like your good, bad in the middle. The way Horizon do it is you answer either like intellectually or emotionally or physically is how your responses are. So it's more of just developing the type of Aloy that you're going to be, but they didn't really have much effect on the story. It was just a way for you to interact.
You can answer physically. Well, are you just punching him in the face? Like,
it's more that you're aggressive, like you're threatening, like.
And sometimes it does incite violence, like similar to like an Assassin's Creed game would.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I like that, but part of it, which I guess has got to do with the side characters. I don't think the first game had as memorable side characters as a lot of other games of this ilk do, and I would like to actually start seeing some love interests throughout the story as well, because there was essentially, like Ghost of Tsushima, actually, there is no love interest in the game at all. It's more just developing relationships with all these different people and trying to get to your goal. It's not really about with creating romantic relationships. So I'd like to see that incorporated. And I feel like the way to develop those relationships and new relationships is do like a Mass Effect 2 thing where you start like get a band of characters together that you have to learn about, and you're going towards this mission, and on the way you bring in people with you and get a band together. I think that's what I would want, and that's the best way to do it. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jamie?
No, I'm quite happy with it remaining Aloy and not shoehorning a 2-player thing in. I mean, I know they obviously want to do it. The studio have spoken at length, and as you said, we've seen concepts for it. So it's gonna happen. I'm not sure if it's gonna ruin it or not. The other character that they're gonna put in has to have some significant impact to Aloy as a character for it to make sense, I think. And what direction they go with that is it a long lost sibling or family member, or what's the connection there? Because as you said, it's not like it's a love interest or something, because she's not had that, unless it is that she develops this love interest and that becomes the second character and it's someone she can't live her life without. But thinking about Aloy as a character, she's quite selfless, so that wouldn't strike me as a narrative beat. I think the family side of it's probably more likely. I just hope it's not shoehorned into the point where it becomes a mechanic. Do you know what I mean? Like think like Brothers, Tale of Two Sons or something like that. I don't want that. Like I don't want it to be constantly the two of them. If we flip between like what one of them's doing and what Aloy's doing, and they try and build the character, fine. But yeah, I don't want the whole traveling together and that kind of thing, because I think that takes Aloy out of some of her strength as a solo female protagonist.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen because she's so well built. So yeah, no other thoughts than that. But if it's done well, it could be good. But I'm cautious on it. One part of the game that I'm not too sold on until we see how it works.
Nah, I get that. I think only because I'm coming off The Last of Us Part 2 and how they balance that, and I don't know, because it's Guerrilla. I feel like I have faith that if they wanted to do 2-player, they'd find an interesting way to incorporate it, and they know how special Aloy is, especially to PlayStation as a whole, as a mascot character.
Then there's been ways it's been done incorrectly as well. Like Chunt, and I know we obviously spoke about playing God of War in the podcast, and the reason that I stopped it was very similar to you, like the whole combat and it didn't feel like God of War to me, like what I remember it being. But another part was the whole, I get the narrative decision behind having Kratos' son, and he's growing and nurturing. I get that. I get the narrative beat. I get the story beat. It's great. But as a gameplay element, it just annoyed me. It's just like, this, I don't need this person here. Kratos always goes off on his own, and he's a war machine, right? He's just going and he's murdering and he's and it's like, I get what they did with the character. I appreciate it. It wasn't for me. I stopped 6 hours-ish in. I got to Atlantis or whatever. Is it Atlantis that they go to?
No, it's the Lake of the Nine.
Yeah, where you travel through some weird. Anyway, that's beside the point. But
yeah,
going with the son as the character, I found it cumbersome, and I hope that Horizon doesn't do the same thing. I haven't played Last of Us 2. Dan, you said that they did it well there, kind of swapping and flitting between Ellie and I forget the name of the one that everybody's mad about.
Abby.
That's the one. So if they do something along those lines and it's not intrusive, then great. But I'm just in for more Aloy. I want to see where her story goes, and if that involves another person, then it involves another person.
An open world 2-player game could be a bit dangerous. Like, how do you focus that? Like, it's different where I'm just going to equate this to my favorite co-op experience of a 2-player aspect is Gears of War. That's a narrative, like, linear experience. And even in Gears 5, they kind of delved in a couple of open areas where you're playing 2 players. I don't actually know how far away you can get from each other in those elements, but how do you create a bigger open exploration world, like I believe this is, with 2 players? Like, how do you keep each other close without bringing the video game aspect into it of like an invisible wall, or you get stopped and then your character's like, oh, I should get back. You know how they do that sometimes? Or, I hate that. It just takes you right out of it. And so how do they get around that? Like, Crackdown is another one, right? It's like not even on the same level, but Crackdown's amazing in that aspect because you can play 2 players or 4 or whatever in the same city, and you can run around and do whatever the hell you want, and you're not facing down a narrative really at all. You're just taking out bosses as you please. There's no, like, you're not getting guided through a story or anything. So if they want to do a 2-player thing like this, how the hell are they going to do that? Like Breath of the Wild, I couldn't imagine that being a 2-player experience. Like, how do you get around that? Because you open up areas of the map as you progress, getting extra things. And if this is like that, I personally wouldn't care for it. If I was delving into an open world game like this, which is so like narrative heavy besides the game elements, I don't want to have to be worrying about whoever I'm playing with, what they're doing, or like, did they find something that I'm not going to get, or did they trigger something that I'm not up to yet, or all that kind of crap comes into play. I would ideally prefer if it's just like a focused experience. If you want to do a 2-player game, make it linear as hell. That's just my preference for those kind of games. It's not going to be like Destiny. Like, you can't do that. Like, hey, you're going to party up with someone and scale back your progression. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of waxing lyrical about if say I'm playing it and you guys are like 5 hours ahead of me, and we want to play together. How does that work? And what items are included, and what weapons, and level up, and whatever else? So how does that play in? There's just too many variables, to make it. That's probably a big reason why they didn't do it. Just talking about it. But obviously, people smarter than me that build these things might have a way to do it. But I just think it could be problematic.
We need to see it, right? We need to see what their intention of co-op is at the moment, because just hearing the word co-op, it does send you down that rabbit hole of what the hell could that mean for an open world game. So they need to show it before we can make any concrete decision, I guess.
Yep.
So, moving on from that, what do we? I'll raise a question to you guys. What do we think is going to happen? And in terms of mainly the release date, the trailer came out with coming in 2021. No window or anything. Do we think it's going to hit that date? And if so, when? You first.
Hey, depends on how long they've been making it for. Do we know when they started?
Well, they started just after the last game. So the first game came out in 2017, and then in in February, and then in November they released the DLC.
Right. Okay. So it's probably a good 3 or 4 years ish of a window.
Yeah.
I could see it coming out 2021, maybe mid of the year. Definitely, I think within the first 6 months of the PS5 launch, you'd have to assume that's a long time. That's 4 going on 5 years. You just hope that they don't have the same development problems that Halo Infinite's had 5 years worth. So, yeah, look, if that's how it is, I mean, I want that for PlayStation people and people that are a fan of this. I hope they're not going to wait too long for it. And I think it's going to be one of those touchstone PlayStation titles again that everybody talks about and is amazed by. Like the first one. Clearly, the first one was a breath of fresh air for a lot of people and warranted the sequel. And the studio, Guerrilla, are just coming off their first-person shooter games to do something like this. I mean, that's just, that's crazy. So good on them and everything like that. I think there's only positives out of this. I'm not really going to care too much if it comes out in late 2021. I'm not that invested, but I think we're coming to come to terms with games these days where things get delayed a lot, and that whole conversation. Yeah, all that, and I think everybody needs to kind of temper their expectations going forward because we don't know what world we're going into coming out of all this or when we're going to come out of it. So, but yeah, I'm just going to put my hat out there and say 6 months between 6 months launch.
Damien, prediction?
I think fall. I think they need a bit longer. I think coronavirus has maybe changed when the original date was going to be. If it was was it a March, April time? Did we say March? It was just before Breath of the Wild, wasn't it?
The original game came out like the 26th of Feb or something.
February, yeah. So I think it was maybe slated for a similar window, the February-March window, but given what's been going on in the world for the last 5 months now, yeah, I think the end of the year. I think they could get away with it being their big fall title, putting it out in late October, early November. That can be their big game. It's probably ideal, for people who are platform agnostic or play multiple places, that it does come then, because I foresee, someone like, I'm more excited for Fable. Like, I want to play that, but we know as of what's been said this week that that's probably not coming next fall. So it'd be great to have Horizon to play next fall. So I think the whole conversation around release times and windows and stuff, like everything's been shunted out by this year. It's pushed so much stuff, and I think companies are scared now to talk about when things are coming. But Guerrilla seem confident that they will hit 2021, but I just think it's going to be the end of 2021. And we've got to remember, and Chunt, you alluded to this in your Chunkcast that I enjoyed the pleasure of viewing yesterday. People are saying that there's no games coming. Like, there are games coming. If Horizon comes out in February, awesome. But if it comes out in November, I guarantee you that there's a plethora of titles for you to play between February and November next year. And we just got to kind of get away from this. Oh my God, this has been delayed. This is such a hurt. Like, this is busting my balls. What's the reason to own these consoles? And I've been a little bit like that, but that's more because I've a PC powerful enough to play everything on Game Pass, and most of the Sony stuff seems to be coming to PC as well. So that's where my why do I need to own this comes from. But the onus of games coming out to play, we've never been in a more kind of blessed position with video game releases and high quality ones. So yeah, either way, early, I can't see it happening. Great if it does, but I'd put money down for fall season next year.
100%.
I think I'm actually probably going to go later. I think they did want to try and reach that February date before Sony went really nuts with a lot of these first party games, like God of War and Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. I think the original sold 2.4 million in like 2 weeks or something, which was huge at the time for them. And I think they like that early time, and I don't think they're going to make it this year, and it will get pushed to the same time in 2021. They'll push it till 2022 for February as well, and people will be like, oh, well, that's by the time it gets to that later in the year, they're going to be like, oh, it's only a couple of months. All right, we'll wait till February.
When do you reckon they delay it though? Then, if they've said 2021, when do you reckon they turn around and go, do you know what, we need to 2022?
I don't think Sony are going to do E3 next year, but it'll be around that time, probably after, so June, July. Just to say, we're given a little extra time because who knows where the world's going to be we don't know with how long they're going to be in COVID for. Like COVID, I do think it's the same with like the Halo stuff that has been talked about. I do think it has an effect on everybody, and it's not an excuse, it's a reality. And I think things will just get pushed even more so than they used to, but it won't be a lot of PR speak. It'll just be, yeah, we need more time.
I have a fluffy question.
Go for it.
What do you think the chances are this comes out at the same time as the next Breath of the Wild does?
I think Breath of the Wild's a lot closer.
Wouldn't that be good?
It'd be quite apt, wouldn't it?
Yeah, ironic.
Well, let's do this again.
Yeah, let's release them at the same time again. But no, I agree with Dan there. That's you have to think Breath of the Wild is much closer because it's probably going to be set in that same world that they built, with some minor amends. Whereas Horizon, they go in, they'll reuse assets, of course they will, but they go into another destination and they have to build those destinations out to feel different from the ones of the first game. Whereas Hyrule doesn't really change too much, does it? Although we're not talking about Zelda now, maybe that'll be one for a few weeks away, but I think we'll be going to what's coined low rule.
It's part of the conversation because the conversation between these two have always been kind of intrinsically linked, so it ponders the question. I think that'd just be hilarious, like if that coincidental happens again. Look, I'm excited for this game. Like just talking about it, and it's kind of making me want to play the first one. Now that I'm really getting close to, I'm less than halfway through my backlog at the moment. So I'm gonna have to try and find a way to get it on my PC and give it a go.
Remember, games on PC cost less money.
Good point.
I will also point out, like I've been having this prediction that, like with Sony first party studios, that they're growing their studios rather than purchasing a lot. So like I feel like places like Naughty Dog or Santa Monica or Guerrilla are all ready if they want to start building out those studios and then separating them into two teams to work on other stuff. And I feel like Guerrilla is one that's situated to maybe put a smaller team on maybe bringing Killzone back and doing it and having that first person shooter in their library, and then also working on Horizon series as well. And I think that might push it because if you start hiring more people and you separate teams and then COVID happens, it's a lot for one studio to deal with, I think. So that might be another reason why it might get pushed as well.
That'd be rad. Because PlayStation don't really have their first-person shooter anymore, do they? Well, they don't have that.
All moved on. Other things. But is there anything else we think before we wrap it up?
No, someone needs to buy me a PS5 because I'm sure as shit not throwing down $1,000 for it.
What if it comes to PC?
Oh, then I've got nothing to complain about, do I? I'll just run it on super low by that stage.
Run it on zero geometry setting. Yeah, everything gets really flat.
Yeah, it will come to PC. I think so that's a whole nother conversation. But the idea that both Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn are now on PC, they both use the Decima engine. I think Forbidden West will come, but probably. Knowing Sony, it'll be like 3 years after the fact, or give you plenty of time to play the first game.
The ports of both of those games are apparently not very good.
Now, apparently, Death Stranding was really good, but Horizon, not so much. Which is
weird super sampling. Like it still looks good,
which is strange because Sony is the one that ported Horizon Zero Dawn, whereas 505 Games is the one that ported Death Stranding. So you'd think that'd be the other way around.
You think they maybe did it on purpose?
Yeah,
because don't get me wrong. Like I've seen some of the like raw gameplay footage of Horizon on PC, and it looks amazing on PS4 Pro. It looks unbelievable, but on PC it's like, this is maybe what we're going to get to with the PS5 version of Forbidden West. So I think the only other thing to touch on with Horizon is that I hope the gameplay mechanics don't change too much. I hope that there's not an evolution there that doesn't need to happen, because I think the gameplay was really satisfying. The combat's satisfying. Don't think that needs to change any. Do you reckon there's anything that needs to change with that, Dan?
No, well, that's what was amazing about the gameplay, is that it was extremely deep. Like you could go as far as you needed to. You could probably go most of the game just with the basic bows if you wanted, but there was the ability to upgrade them. The only thing I'd probably hope that they change a little bit is the menu system. I think the menu system could get worked on a little bit, because there's a lot of going through colors trying to figure out what was what. But you get used to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, boys, we will wrap it up there. Thanks for joining me on this other episode of Downloading Soon. Thanks to everybody watching. Thank you, Chunt. Thank you, Jamie.
Anytime.
Yeah. And we'll see you next week for probably a conversation about something to do with Batman.
Hell yeah,
we love
boy.
Batman.
Yeah, I am the Batman.
Anyway, thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.